I'm always nervous when people clap before you've said anything. You should probably just sit down because it won't get any better than that. Well, I address you as a technologist in awe of the parliamentarians who have been given the impossible task of discovering productive rules for bringing discipline to the complex technologies and applications of the internet and computer-based systems. I do not envy you your task, but I hope I can help it. One of the key features of the internet and computer-based systems is their ability to amplify whatever it is we do, and we see this in the form of rapid distribution of content around the world, access to materials, a megaphone to people whose voices might otherwise not be heard, which is very important, but then they also, voices that we don't want to listen to are equally amplified, and that is a challenge. How do we discipline that? I must warn the legislators that you can make laws, but you're not allowed to revise the laws of physics. So if you ask the engineers to double the speed of light in aid of your legislation, we will have to disappoint you. However, the legislators are trying to fashion the rules of what I will say is a 21st century social contract. As citizens of each country and citizens of the world, as netizens in the internet, we wish for a social contract in which the rules of behavior allow us to feel safe and secure in this online environment. So it's very important for the parliamentarians to appreciate both the capabilities and the weaknesses of computer-based applications. So the technologists have an obligation to the parliamentarians to help them understand in some fundamental way how these systems work and how they don't work. What the experts should do is to help inform the thinking of the parliamentarians in fashioning rules that will achieve the objectives of the social contract. So our targets generally are trust and safety and security and privacy and accountability and agency, and a long list of other desirable properties of legislation. One thing I would urge the parliamentarians to do is to focus on outcomes rather than on specific technologies. Just at the moment, we are mesmerized by artificial intelligence and machine learning and large language models, but I believe that that is in some sense a distraction. What we should be most concerned about is how these systems are being used. What is it? What are the effects and side effects of their use? Are there harms that we need to defend against? Mr. Moderator, with your permission, I would like to open up one other topic which you probably or may not be expecting, but this is to give the parliamentarians fair warning that you have an open territory that is upon us within the next couple of years to consider, and that is the expansion of the internet into interplanetary space. It is well underway. The head of the interplanetary networking chapter of the Internet Society is here with us, Yosuke Kaneko, who is part of JAXA, the Japanese Space Agency. He's just released on our behalf a report describing what an interplanetary internet would look like and what its implications are. I want you to think for a moment about the return to the moon, the Artemis missions, which involve the cooperative efforts of the European Space Agency, the Japanese Space Agency, the Korean Space Agency, and of course NASA in the US. When the return to the moon happens, which is coming within the next 2 years, there will be commercial activity on the moon. There are all kinds of implications of that commercial activity which have only been considered in very modest terms, like the Outer Space Treaty of 1967. Now, I realize, Mr. Moderator, this is super far out, but the problem is it's only 2 years away. And so I want to make sure that you are conscious of the fact that we will have to cope with questions like, can you own property on the moon? If NASA is willing to purchase the results of mining on the moon, then the question is, where, do you get to own the mine? What if there's a dispute about ownership? Where does that get resolved? What if there's a claim jumper? Do we have a space police force? I mean, these are all questions that are going to come up in the context of the expansion into space, and the internet will be there along with it, and it will bring its own set of challenges. So if it weren't enough to deal with the terrestrial internet, by the time that we have the 2024 and 2025 IGFs, I suspect that that topic will be on the agenda as well. So thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. I turn this back to you.
Thank you very much, Vint.